Hello and welcome to this tea tasting session. Have you visited us before for a tea tasting? June, my goodness, has it been that long? Well, welcome back. It's lovely to see you again. For this particular tea tasting, we are celebrating the flavours from the brand Tazo. So we welcome you to try the teas. We have 7 today that you can try. The flavours are as follows. We have organic Darjeeling, we have juniper mint honey, glazed lemon loaf, vanilla bean macaron, joy, vanilla chai, and a sweet cinnamon spice. Lots of lovely flavours to try. So, are you familiar with tea bags, as these are what these are? You are, good. And do you have any favourites? That is a lovely one. That really is. Have you ever tried the Tazo brand? Well, you're in for a treat. So let me just prepare the cups and water and we'll begin your tea tasting session. Perfect. You just get comfortable. So we have a combination today of mixed teas, chai, herbal, black tea, all sorts really. We do have honey, milk and sugar. If you'd like to add those to your teas today, I'll take you through a little bit of knowledge and history on the specific teas as well. Okay, that is perfect. Alright, so let's start with the first tea. The first tea that I have to talk about today is Tazo's Juniper Mint Honey. This one is a herbal tea. So I'm just going to pour the water now for this particular tea, and I will just pop this in front of you. You can sip away, mix it as you please. Okay. Okay, so just let this one steep for a few moments before you give it a go, just so you can give it its best tasting experience. I'll just pop that over there for you, and you can sip at that as you please. So the juniper mint honey tea is a herbal tea, which means that there is no caffeine in this one. And for this particular tea, it is full of beautiful aromas and lots of lovely flavour profiles. The honey taste in this one is quite subtle. It certainly takes a back seat to the stronger flavours of juniper and mint. So we do actually have sugar, milk and honey if you would like to add those today, just because those flavours are quite strong. It just depends on who you are and what you like as a flavour experience from your tea. So not only are juniper berries extremely flavoursome, but they have some wonderful health benefits. They are full of vitamin C and they contain many antioxidants, so they're quite enriching for the system. This tea is best enjoyed hot as a nice, refreshing, lovely, calming drink for the winter season, just because it has those chilly, cooling properties from the juniper and the mint respectively. The piney taste of the juniper follows from the mint and carries its way to those very subtle sweet flavours. As I discussed in your previous tea tasting, herbal teas can take a full boil to best enjoy the steeped flavours from them. So I believe that the tea has now fully steeped. So if you'd like to, feel free to try the juniper mint honey tea. You are more than welcome to do so. If it doesn't sound like your sort of taste, you may also feel free to skip on it. Oh, you're going to give it a go. Fantastic. Let me know what you think. They are very strong, robust flavours, yes. The water itself also has a beautiful colour to it. You like that one? Fantastic. So, would you like to carry on sipping that one, or would you like me to take that from you? Would you like me to take that from you? Okay. I certainly shall. It's certainly a unique experience, especially if you've never tried juniper berries before. Okay, so which one do we have next for the preparation? I believe we have the sweet cinnamon spice. This is also a herbal tea with no caffeine. Okay, so I'm just going to pour the water for this one. So this one is full of lots of lovely, classic, beautiful flavours. And I'll tell you a little bit more about them. Again, this is a herbal tea, so just let this one steep for just a few minutes, okay? And you can feel free to add whatever sweeteners or milks that you like for this one. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about it. So this tea features spicy cinnamon, licorice root, which has a nutty flavour to it, star anise, which has a little bit more of a licorice-light sweetness, rooibos, orange peel, and almond extract, and chicory root. So this is a very flavoursome tea experience. Lots of gorgeous autumn and winter flavours. So I thought that this one would be perfect to feature this month for the tea tasting. So because this tea has a lot of natural sweet properties to it, additional sugar isn't required to balance out those flavours. Visually, as this is a red tea base, this has a beautiful colour to it, that classic beautiful cherry wood red. It's absolutely lovely. So I believe that it is now steeped, and you can feel free to try this one if you like. Absolutely lovely, isn't it? If you let it mellow for a little bit, that very strong initial taste of cinnamon is quite powerful, but it has a more natural flavour base to it as opposed to artificial. And this one has a lot of different flavour profiles to it because it has things like orange peel and star anise. It has a beautiful combination of sweet and spicy flowing throughout. Now, when you smell the tea, initially you're hit with a very strong waft of cinnamon, but there are notes of the chicory root and star anise floating about as you smell on it. Even smelling this tea really puts you in a very comforted mood. Good. So, would you like to add any additional ingredients to this one? Or you're okay? You're okay? Okay. And would you like to try the next one? Okay, would you like me to grab that? Of course. Absolutely beautiful colour on this one. It just absolutely evokes those beautiful colours of autumn and winter throughout on this one. Lovely. Okay, so let's try something else. We also have another herbal tea now. This is the glazed lemon loaf. It's up here somewhere. It's at the bottom there. There we go. So let me just prepare this one. So this is from Tazo's dessert collection. So they have quite a few. for their dessert collection. The vanilla bean macaron is also part of that. This one happens to be a personal favourite, and this is excellent for people who are tea novices or would like to explore different styles of tea. So I'll leave that there for you. You can allow that one to steep. Now aromatically you are hit initially with those beautiful notes of icing sugar and lemon and beautiful vanilla. Interestingly, however, despite this smelling and tasting exactly like a liquid lemon loaf cake, there is no sugar actually included in this drink. This isn't one that I would necessarily suggest to add any sort of milk or sugar or honey to, just because it is very sweet and would alter the impression that it's trying to give of a beautiful cake. But you may feel free to do so if you like. Of course. So this one has a little bit more of a muddled yellow tinge to it, to the tea. And I think that that really helps set the styling and mood for the tea. Being a lemon loaf cake, you would expect it to be slightly more yellow. It didn't necessarily have to be, but I really think it helps really push across that this is quite a vibrant lemon-based tea. Yes, of course, you may now feel free to sip on this one. I believe that this is steeped long enough. So because the flavours on this one are a little bit more unique, certainly not classic, and certainly the impression it's trying to give, you don't really need to let this one steep for too long to get that impression. Many of these teas, as well as herbal teas, need that steeping time to allow the complexity of all those beautiful infused flavours to come across. But because this one, you're trying to set quite a simple impression of some beautiful cake, it doesn't take very long to do that. Doesn't it smell lovely? It really does. If I'm looking for something that's dessert based, but it's a little bit different and it comes in a drink, this is a wonderful option, especially being no sugar included on this one. Yes, it's very sweet, but not enough to be overly sweet, just enough to give a beautiful impression of a fresh cake. Lovely, isn't it? Yes, it's very surprising how it can unlock all of those flavours in a tea. Yes, this one is a herbal tea again, so there is no caffeine included in this one. Do you like it? Fantastic. I'm very glad to hear. It is a wonderful tea for tea novices, and I really think it's wonderful for those who are just trying to explore a couple of new teas out of the typical ones that they might go for. Perfect. Time to grab that? Okay. So the next tea that I invite you to try is Tazo's Organic Darjeeling Black Tea. So this tea today will be the one that will have the most caffeine in it. So I'm just going to prepare you on that before you try it. Okay, let's get these out of the way. Okay, let's put that down nice and gently. And I will just put this by you. So Darjeeling is a very interesting tea. So I actually have a little bit of history that I would be more than happy to share with you about the wonderful Darjeeling tea. Now, have you ever had Darjeeling tea? Okay, so it's quite a strong, robust tea, and it's actually considered the champagne of teas. And the reason for that is Darjeeling, which is the area in India in which this is grown, has a very unique geography and climate. It is situated in the foothills of the Indian Himalayas, and the area has a cool, damp climate, constant mist, and high elevation, making its tea profile flavour-wise extremely unique. It is named after the town in West Bengal, India, and its origins in the area date back to the mid-1800s. It is the only tea in the world to get protection under the geographical indication trademark. So Darjeeling tea works on a flushing system. Now, depending on what flush you pick the tea leaves, can really affect the flavour profile. So Darjeeling's first flush occurs somewhere between late February to mid-April, and the second flush, which is the tea that you have today, happens from late May to June. The flavour ends up being well-rounded, mature, fruity, and less astringent to the first flush. The steeped liquid appears bright, slightly more orange toned as opposed to the yellow colours of the first flush. The third flush is between October and November. This is the autumn flush. They have much larger, darker leaves and steep a little bit more of a full-bodied flavour with some fruity tones. The liquid will appear more copper-coloured and be best suited for more of a breakfast tea. So after all that information, I believe that it's steeped just long enough for you to give it a try. So this uses spices, but a little bit in a different way this time. This one uses cardamom and ginger, as well as cinnamon. This one doesn't happen to be particularly sweet, so if you prefer a sweeter tea, I would very much suggest the honey or sugar. You like that one? Perfect. Perfect. I'm really glad you like that one. Lovely, isn't it? Again, it's a little bit more spicy base, so this is really, really good. Not only as a hot tea, I tend to prefer my hot teas with spice in them, but also for autumn and winter time as it gets a little bit more chilly and people tend to opt more towards those ingredients. Good, I'm really glad you liked it. Would you like me to grab that for you? Okay. Okay. So next we're moving on to Tazo's Vanilla Caramel Chai. This is a black tea. This has mid-caffeine levels, certainly less than a Darjeeling. So I'll just prepare this one for you. Have you ever had chai? Okay. So chai is a Hindi word, and chai actually means tea. So when you ask for chai tea, you're asking for tea. So I'll just put this over here. This is a black tea, so this is going to require a little bit more steeping time, just a few minutes or so, okay? Okay. So in America, chai is more known for being a flavour of tea that has strong cinnamon and cardamom notes. However, in traditional recipes for chai, chai is more of exclusively a spice mix. So what that means is that tea is not normally involved in the process of drinking chai. So chai drinking is mostly mixing spices together. And the interesting part about chai is it doesn't really follow a specific rule in traditional recipes. You can use pretty much any spices that you like for your own personal chai flavour. When making a chai tea, however, when you're using those chai spices, Darjeeling or Assam tea is normally what's used to pair chai and tea together. It's a lovely fusion. You will get some absolutely beautiful aromas off of this one. This one contains cinnamon, vanilla, chai spices, black pepper, cloves, and caramel. This one is lovely. It's a really nice entry point for those who would like to try chai for the first time. Just because it does have that caramel, it does assist with the spice, so it's not too overwhelming. Now, chai is mostly preferred in lattes or at least with steamed milk. The frothiness and creamy, rich flavour of the milk really help balance out those very strong, spicy flavours. Chai tea is a really nice tea to pair with lots of different things, such as your favourite spices, honey, sugar, milk. It really does welcome the inclusion of all of those, as opposed to some other teas which a lot of people think should just be enjoyed alone with nothing added. Would you like a little bit of milk with your chai tea? Okay, let me just grab that for you. I believe it's steeped long enough. Okay. How much milk would you like? Okay, so this is actually steamed milk. I'll just stir this for you. Steep and stir. Steep. So this one is absolutely beautiful. And I really enjoy that chai has not one traditional recipe, but it includes many spices, just depending on who's making your chai. Yes, chai or chai tea in this manner is almost always paired with black tea, if you're making a chai tea. But yes, traditionally it was enjoyed with just chai spices and water. Just going to stir this for you. I really want this one to sit in the milk and water for you, just because this has beautiful flavours that, if with a little patience, will shine through. Yeah, you can enjoy this one with steamed milk or just usual milk. How are you enjoying your tea tasting experience so far? Do you have a favourite? Really? I'm just very glad you liked it. We have, I think, 2 more. Okay. So try this now with the milk included. Did you say you tried chai? Okay, let it go. Let me know what you think. Yes, it's a little strong, a little spicy. Not as spicy as some other teas, though. Yeah, I think that this is a fairly nice representation of chai. I think it's better with the milk. Great, okay. So now we're moving on to the next tea. This is the vanilla bean macaron, which is just at the top there, third along. This is a black tea, but it has a low amount of caffeine. This also features in Tazo's dessert collection, and again, I very much welcome you to try this one. This one tastes lovely. Let me prepare this one. And may I take the chai from you? Okay. Here we go. So this one doesn't need any sweetness, but again, this is your tea tasting experience. You may feel free to add whatever you like to it. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about this one. So this one features vanilla, cocoa peel, cinnamon, and cardamom, as well as licorice root. So you'll notice in Tarso's dessert collection that aromatically the scent is very, very strong but clear. This is entirely reminiscent of a vanilla iced dessert. This lacks many of the flavours and aromas of your typical cup of tea, and it replaces them with sugary sweetness. Like the glazed love cake tea, this is wonderful for those with a sweet tooth or for those wanting to explore new sorts of teas. This does have a beautiful, balanced and smooth taste to it, with the tiniest bit of cinnamon to add a little bit of variety to the tasting profile. Would you like to give this one a go? Yeah, I believe it's steeped just long enough. Wonderful, isn't it? Certainly interesting. So this one is, to me at least, entirely identical to a beautiful, delicately flavoured, iced, sugary cake. This one does give impressions of a macaron, but to me a little bit more of a sugary vanilla birthday cake. It is a little bit more what this one comes across as. And now, with many birthday cake flavours in foods and drinks, it can be very sickly and very artificial. However, I believe that this one has gotten the focus more on freshly baked desserts as opposed to sickly sweet additives. This one tastes absolutely beautiful. It lingers gently and it makes for a beautiful tasting experience. And again, it helps to break up from those more traditional spicy flavours that you would normally drink in the cooler months. You like this one? Fantastic. I find that this one happens to be a favourite of mine. With teas like this, they are well enjoyed throughout the year. And again, if you're looking for a dessert, but maybe you don't have any in, and you want to go for something that's sweet, quick, and simple, this is a pretty nice version of a tea dessert. Good. I'm very glad that you like it. Okay, so we're moving on to the last tea, and I believe that we have saved the best till last. So the last tea that I have for you to try today is called Joy. This is Tarso's limited edition tea, and it's only going to be around for the cooler months. And we have just enough water. For this one. This is also a black tea, but it actually combines oolong and green tea with it. So this is quite an interesting tasting experience. So I'll leave that there for you. Let that steep for just a moment or so. So this uses a blend of black, oolong and green teas, as well as peaches. So only around for the festive period, this has subtle hints of peaches, but you are hit with an initial impression of Christmas pudding if you've had that. Christmas pudding is a very rich dessert. It's very robust, strong, fruity, complex, and has a lot of interesting tones and flavours to it. The scent of this one steeps into something fairly plain and unsuspecting, but the flavour makes up for that. It's very complex and quickly changing. There are floral and light fruity notes throughout, and oolong tea, which is new to our tea tasting experiences, is a tea that's oxidized at varying levels, so its flavour depends on who is making your tea. It can be light to full-bodied, woodsy, floral. This one, however, brews to a rich, honeyed orange and brown tone. You can feel free to sip on this one now if you'd like. I really appreciate that they put peaches in it. As you can see, a lot of teas have a lot of spices infused into it, as I believe that is how most tea should be best enjoyed, but that's just my opinion. But I like that there's a little bit of a break away from spice. It's certainly there to some degree throughout this particular tea, but it doesn't emphasize it. It feels like rich fruits. So because this uses a combination of 3 different types of teas, you might be left wondering, what temperature do I brew this particular tea at? How long do I brew it for? You can brew this one at a full boil, and you can steep it for your traditional amount of time, 4 minutes or so. Now the green tea that's used in this is slightly sweet, nutty, buttery, floral, slightly oceanic, but ever so slightly, to the point where I've not been able to taste it myself. Steamed green teas, you'll notice, have a slightly more bittersweet taste as opposed to unsteamed green teas. This one is best enjoyed hot to really enjoy those beautiful, gorgeous, complex flavours. And because this has peach throughout, you don't necessarily need to add any sort of sugars or whatnot to this one, but that's completely up to you. Do you like that one? It's certainly interesting, isn't it? And as you sip more and more on it, the flavours begin to change. It's certainly the most, in my opinion, interesting one, because not only does it use 3 different types of teas, but it mingles them together in a really unique way. It doesn't really spell out for you exactly what you're going to taste. Now, when it comes to spice-based teas, what it's trying to tell you is quite obvious, but this one sort of leaves it open to interpretation. It's a really nice everyday tea for that reason, not overwhelming, not too strong. It somehow has found the balance of being complex yet simple enough to be enjoyed every day for that particular reason. You like that one? Fantastic. So that is all of our teas for this tea tasting session, and I would love to know which one was your favourite. That is a favourite of mine also. I'm very glad that you like that one. Good. And you can tell me, is there any that you didn't particularly like? Yes, that one definitely has a divided audience on it. Those flavours are not for everyone, and I just really appreciate you giving it a try. And as you taste it with the chai tea, when you try it initially without milk or steamed milk, it has a completely unique tasting experience without it, but it tastes so much better with the milk added. Brilliant. And as you can actually see from all of the teas that are out today, the beautiful hues they leave behind are so lovely. You have the red tea base over here, that beautiful cherry wood. The yellow tinge tea here, very delicate and sweet, just to represent the lemon. You have this rich, classic, robust brown here. You have this one with these gorgeous orange hues flowing throughout. Visually, it's a wonderful experience, but the tasting is so much better. I'm glad that you liked it. Would you like me to take that tea out of your way? Okay. So, as a special gift to all of those who join us for our tea tasting session, you are now welcome to bring home any box of the 7 teas that we have featured for our tea tasting session today. Of course. Would you like me to show you any of them in greater detail? Joy? Of course. Let's have a look at this one. So this one has a beautiful festive red to it, and it's decorated with little white ribbon here, and the writing on the front has a beautiful subdued gold shade to it. Now, the caffeine level on this one is 4 of 5, and 4 of 5 means you will be receiving 46 to 60 milligrams of caffeine per tea pack. I'd like to have a look at another one. Okay. Which one would you like to look at? You can look at them all if you like. The Darjeeling. Okay. This is the Darjeeling. This is USDA organic, fair trade certified, and non-GMO. This one is really pretty. This one is white with black writing, and it has these beautiful bright green leaves at the top here. I've actually noticed that many of our customers that come in that specifically buy Tazo line them up at home because each of the boxes has a different colour. So it makes for an aesthetically pleasing kitchen arrangement. Would you like to have a look at any of the others? This one? Okay. Just move that over for you. Okay. This is Sweet Cinnamon Spice, the lovely classic one. I love that this one combined lots of different flavours. So this one has a little bit more of a peachy orange at the top, and it has the classic white front packaging with the black writing, but this one actually features the star anise and the cinnamon at the top. So it helps you visually identify what you're going to be trying. Perfect. Let me just put that back on our display. And this one, of course, is this the one you were thinking about? Okay. This is the glazed lemon loaf. This one is definitely our most popular seller by far. Not only do those who tend to prefer caffeine in their tea like it, but it is certainly our most popular herbal tea with our customers that don't tend to prefer caffeine. So this is a good indication of what you should expect from the tea. Do you think that it evoked that? I agree, yes. You can taste these flavours all the way throughout. You'll take this one? Excellent. Well, what I will do is I will leave this with you. Now that is completely free as part of the tea tasting experience. Well, thank you so much for visiting us again and trying out these teas. We hope to see you again in the future, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Take care. Goodbye.